good everybody? Today I'm back with another different kind of video, and another one I've not done in quite a long time, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a list video. So this has been inspired by the fact that it's kind of got sunny outside now. It's been a long time coming, some of this good weather. I've spent more than enough time stood freezing at train stations, drenched head to toe, all the problems. But now it's starting to kind of get a little bit sunnier and we're starting to look like summer. And obviously summer is always a really important part of the calendar for reading because A, there's quite a lot of books that come out, and B, you get a lot of opportunity to sit around or go on holiday and flick through those books that you don't always get a chance to do throughout the rest of the year. And I think it's a really exciting time to look ahead at my top 5 books coming out over this summer. So basically I'm being a bit loose with summer. That's basically anything from now, essentially, through to September-ish, plenty of time, but these are the books I'm most excited for this year. So because these books aren't out yet, I actually have none of them to wave around, so if my arms are off doing crazy things, I apologise. I'm just, nothing to hold means nothing to stop these doing this. But basically, I'm going to be flashing up photos of the books that I'm talking about, so you get a bit of an indication of what they are, what they're going to look like. But other than that, I'm going to get straight down to talk about the first book. So the first book then is one called Straightjacket by a guy called Matthew Todd. So he's the editor of Attitude magazine in the UK, which is probably one of the most prominent LGBT magazines in the country. And basically the book he's releasing is a kind of half memoir, half self-help style book, half sciencey as well actually. 3 halves, I know. But basically it's a book kind of looking at the link between being on the LGBT spectrum and depression, and how mental illness is a really untalked about problem in the LGBT community, and there's so much extra pressure and difficulty added to somebody on the LGBT spectrum that it's not really dealt with in a very good way by society. And this book is basically looking at ways of dealing with that, how society can be more inclusive with that and minimise this issue, and just how these issues could be overcome. It's a really interesting thing, having read quite a lot of the LGBT fiction recently, as mentioned in my last video. It's something I'm really interested in at the minute, and I think because it's such a high profile name, I think it's going to be a really interesting book to read, and I'm really intrigued to see what it says. I think it should be something really interesting for this summer. Now, I can't get away with doing this video without mentioning, undoubtedly, the biggest release of summer 2016, and that's the new Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So there are a couple of things that are kind of restricting my excitement a little bit. Mainly the fact that it's not actually a novel, it's the script of the play, which is slightly problematic in that it's not going to be quite as enjoyable to read as the books. But it's been so long since the last Harry Potter book, and actually recently, from talking to people who've gone to the studios, or watching the films, or planning to reread the book soon, I am more hyped about Harry Potter than I have been in absolute years. I'm really excited to read them again, and I'm really excited to see what J.K. Rowling's kind of follow-up is, what she thinks the next steps in the Harry Potter universe are, and I'm just really excited to see how the story unfolds. Really cannot wait. 31st of July cannot come quick enough. Now on this channel I've talked quite a lot about a book called The Passage by Justin Cronin, which is a kind of part horror, part fantasy, part kind of YA book about essentially a world where there's a virus that takes over, which is sort of vampire, zombie-like, somewhere in the middle of those two. And basically the passage picks up in a post-apocalyptic world where there's this society and they've rebuilt and they're trying to deal with the ongoing issues arising from the virus and the outbreak. And it's just brilliant. It combines all the best bits of epic fantasy novels like the Terry Goodkind books, the David Eddings books that I loved when I was younger and still do nowadays. Plus it's got some really interesting stuff to actually make vampires scary again after Twilight ruined them for everybody. So it's a really interesting book to start with. And the first 2 in the trilogy have come out, The Passage and The 12. And finally, after a long wait, the 3rd book, City of Mirrors, is out this summer. So I am lucky enough that I've got an advanced copy of this on the way for me, so I haven't got to wait quite as long as some other people. But it's one of my favourite, The Passage is one of my favourite books ever, and The 12 wasn't quite as good, but I still loved it, and I cannot wait to see how the trilogy gets wrapped up in the 3rd one. So the 4th one then is gonna be another one of the biggest books of summer this year, especially in the UK. Basically, it's from the author who wrote The Miniaturist. So The Miniaturist came out a couple of years ago and was one of the biggest books of the past 2 years, first in hardback, then in paperback. It's really hard to kind of categorise The Miniaturist. It's kind of part historical thriller, part mystery novel, part literary fiction. It kind of straddles over a lot of the genre boundaries, and it's fascinating. If you've not read it, I've got a review on the channel from literally in fact, it might be the second video I ever posted, so I'm going to link it down below, but don't laugh at me. And it's just a really interesting book and shows loads of promise for the author. And her second book, The Muse, is due out the end of June. Now, I literally know very little about this book. I know it's kind of similarly quirky. It's got an interesting main character. I think it's an immigrant from Trinidad, and it's just got a really interesting plot, from what I can tell, based around the art world. That's literally all I know, but just the fact it's a Jessie Burton book and it's similar in style to The Miniaturist means I'm already hooked and excited about it, and it's gonna be massive. They always do really nice editions of the Jessie Burton books. The Miniaturist cover is amazing, and I'm really excited to see what they do with the Muse as well. Now, the fifth one really is a diversion. This is something completely different, and actually something I don't actually talk about much on this channel, but a genre that I'm really interested in, and that's cookery. So I am planning on doing a video in the next few weeks about my favourite cookery books, because there's a ton of really amazing stuff I've got on the shelf just behind the camera, but that I've not really talked about on here yet. But when I was kind of having a look at the books coming out this summer, there's one which has really stood out as fascinating to me, and it's called The Cook's Encyclopedia. Now, I've completely forgotten the author's name, good work Joe, but essentially it's a book that goes through from A to Z, ingredients, cooking techniques, different types of cuisine, and gives you information, recipes, tips for all the different ingredients. Now, I really like these kind of unusual cookery style books, where it's not just lists of recipes and it's slightly more different, something slightly more referencey. And there's one called the Flavour Thesaurus, which I've got for so many people as presents, which is really nice and kind of matches up, if I want this food tonight, what will go quite nice with it. Really clever, and I'm really excited for this Cook's Encyclopedia that does such a similar thing, but sounds like it's going to be amazing. And these books have quite often got a really nice edition and packaging as well, and it's one I cannot wait to have on my shelf, along with the rest of my cookery collection. So there we have it. They are my top 5 most exciting books of summer 2016. I've tried to just talk about books that are now coming out in hardback. Anything that's been out in hardback that's coming out in paperback I've kind of ignored because they aren't officially new, even though there are a ton of things coming out in paperback which I've been waiting for that I cannot wait to read. There's Roman history books, there's fiction, there's sci-fi, a bit of everything that's coming out into the paperback. But I've just talked about the new books, and there is some amazing stuff coming up that I cannot wait to read. I'm hoping to be able to get copies of these all as soon as possible because I'm really chomping at the bit to read them. So let me know down below what books you're most excited about this summer. I couldn't find any YA I was particularly jumping over. I couldn't find much general fiction I was particularly that excited over. But I'm really intrigued to know what you guys are excited for. And if you want to let me know down below, that'd be really appreciated. Also, obviously, a like and subscribe is massively appreciated. We're so close to 500 subscribers now, and I can't wait to get to that milestone. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with my next video.